Welcome, everyone, to Real Talk, episode 6. It's good that I've gotten 6 episodes in, so I'm pretty excited about that. Welcome, everyone. I hope you are doing well today. So we're going to talk about what we normally talk about each week. We're going to talk about the box office. We're going to talk about upcoming movies. This week, I've sort of switched from talking about AI film writing. I had a lot of questions on one of my live streams last Thursday when I was talking about a particular product. Some screenwriting questions, so we're going to answer those screenwriting questions a little later on in the video as well too. So we're going to talk about that, some pop culture stuff, as we like to do. The Acolyte, should it get a second season? Dun, dun, dun. We'll talk about it and look at a Forbes article around that. So let's get started today and start looking at the Hollywood box office for today. So box office numbers. All right, so. And let me share my screen with you guys today. Yeah, I have to actually, even the long as I use this, I still don't always get it very well. So, all right, so take a look at our top 10 for the box office. This week we have Despicable Me still in number 1 with 44 million from this particular weekend. A drop of about 40.5%, which is pretty good. It's anything less than 50% is normally a pretty good drop. You're always going to get drops because new stuff comes into theaters. Total gross domestically, $211 million. Long Legs, we'll talk about this one here in a couple minutes. $22.6 million. It's for a horror movie. That's a great opening, especially since the in order to do the marketing, they only spent $10 million. They also did a lot of different things with Long Legs in terms of marketing, but we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. Inside Out 2, only a drop of 31.6%, $20 million. Still, I'm thinking it's going to break that $600 million mark before it gets out of theaters. And again, one of the biggest franchises worldwide. Same with Despicable Me 4 too. I think that broke the $5 billion mark. I think we'll see that in our article. Quiet Place Day 1, still been doing okay. $11 million, down 42.7%. I don't think it's going to gross that much. I don't think it's going to get 150 million. I think it's just going to stay maybe at 130 at the most as might get. Fly Me to the Moon, which is a new one. We'll talk about this one as well too. $10 million. It tracked in less than what they were hoping for. They're hoping for a $12 million weekend. But it's going to go on Apple TV, so we'll see what it actually does in there. And I think a lot of these streaming services are using the theatrical release as sort of the prime the pump, so people will want to watch it on their streaming service. Bad Boys, can you believe it? 184 million. Total this week, 4.4. They're still raking in the money. They're only down 33.8%. I think the reason why you're seeing that, you do have a little bit of action in Quiet Place Day 1, but you don't have the type of action movie that you're seeing with Bad Boys, which is why I think it's staying in the top 10. It's been in the top 10 for the last 6 weeks. So that's good to know. Horizon, American Saga. It's grossed about $27 million. Down a little bit more than what you would hope. Again, it's over 50%. 2.4 million. Same with Maxine. Again, 69%. And Sound of Hope. So you're seeing the 7th, 8th, and 9th. You can see these big drops here, and this is the number I'm looking at right here. And you don't want anything more than 50%. If you have more than 50%, you're losing a lot of revenue. You're not as repeatability. The repeatability of people going to see I shouldn't say repeatability, but people going to see your movie is significantly less, which is pretty interesting because these have only been out 3, 2, and 2 weeks, and you still got a movie that's only losing about 30% in the top 6 movies. Angel Studios, another disappointing with The Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot, $10 million, close to $10 million. Then we've had a couple of newer movies in Indian 2, The Lion King, and Touch. Kingdom of the Planet of Apes has fallen out of the top 10. Still not doing bad, 170. Though you can see Bad Boys did better than they did. Thelma, still doing good, number 12. I should say last week it was at 13, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So there's your top 10. probably the surprise for the week was Longlegs. We talked about that last week as to whether that was going to be a good movie or not. We were wondering how Longlegs and Fly Me to the Moon would do. Longlegs, a lot better than expected. Fly Me to the Moon was a disappointment, and we'll talk about that particular article here in just a couple moments. Good to see you. Good to see you, SS groupies. Yes. I'm glad you got to be. You're in the number one spot. Thank you for joining me for today. So I know we're going to be working on your video this week. That's one of the videos I have on schedule to come out this week. So talking about going from idea to story concept to sort of have it outlined and then going to the writing. So Pravin. I was thinking it was, but I don't like to mistake. So Pravin, yes. So we'll get that out to you this week. That's on my goal for by Friday. I'll have that out for you. So and you can let me know if you liked it or if you want me to do something different with it as well too. I'm also looking for your screenplay too. I haven't seen your screenplay come across my email yet. So if you want me to take a look at it, I'm happy to do that. So let me know. So let's take a look at. All right, share my screen. The next one. So we're going to talk about not that one, this one here, right? Yep, perfect. All right. So we're going to take a look real quickly at some of the headlines. Again, talking about Despicable Me won the weekend with 44.6 million. Nicolas Cage, Longlegs stole the headlines, delivering the best original horror opening year to date and the best ever start for a Tom Quinn-run 7-year-old distribution company with $22.6 million. So the other interesting thing about this too, it's original IP. It's not something that is different. Perfect. Thank you, Pravin. I can't wait to read it. So yeah. So with oops, let me go down a little bit because I think I saw one. Okay, perfect. So as we take a look at this too, Longlegs is an original property, original IP, which is something nice, something we haven't seen, and I think it's showing you in terms of why this is important is because I think a lot of us have been saying that we need to have original IPs. And now you're seeing that in the marketplace, hey, an original IP did well, especially for a horror franchise, which is typically doesn't cost as much. And so let's see, it's in addition, finance Longlegs for under $10 million. So they've already made their money back on this particular movie. And like I said, I think the nice thing about it is too, Neon used a different type of marketing campaign with Clever Clips Overview, a campaign that hid Nicolas Cage, because that was the one thing when I saw it, I'm like, hey, I don't see him in the trailer. So I was like interested, I was wondering if it was something similar to what we saw with Scream with Drew Barrymore, where she was featured prominently in the pictures and stuff like that. But she died off right away. So I thought there was some sort of interesting thing that they weren't showing Nicolas Cage. I'm like, okay, so what's he get to do in the movie? So I was really interested to see it. Fortunately, I didn't get to see it this weekend. And so I thought that was interesting. I really want to go see it, so hopefully I can go see it this week still. So the way that they did the marketing for Longlegs was they used 11 videos on YouTube in the last 90 days, amounting to about 30 million views. And so it was interesting that they sort of created something different, a little different way that they went around promoting this particular movie. And I think, David Heron, the founder of Entertainment Intelligence Group's Quorum, which saw Longlegs coming, the genre was meant for reinvention. This was a shot in the arm for it. Neon was so super smart in their marketing and not revealing everything and not showing Nicolas Cage. I think that's one of the big things. If you've watched the Gladiator trailers from this week, a lot of people are like, well, we just saw the show. And I think this is a reminder for studios and stuff like that. If you want a trailer is designed to build tension, to want to give people it's sort of like a thumbnail to your movie. You don't want to give the a good thumbnail gets you interested in watching it, but doesn't make you, but makes you, you don't know the whole deal. You want to know more, and that's what a true trailer should do. And so that's something I thought that was very interesting about Longlegs. Let's see here. He's got another. So the other thing interesting too about this was for Cage. This was one of Cage's best opening in quite a while. This is his first movie, live action movie since 2011. Can you believe that? 2011. So like 14 years or 13 years. That's up north of 20 million. And Cage is pretty prolific as an actor too. So I thought that was interesting. So the interesting tidbit is how Neon launched this movie. It didn't do it. Sans a Zinger Festival a la SXSW, which their previous horror movie Immaculate, starring Sydney Sweeney, had debuting to a previous Neon weekend high of 5.3. Essentially, Immaculate had a 3-month campaign and acquired a festival boost to get it out there. Longlegs, by comparison, had been trailering on every horror movie since January. That's unheard of an indie horror movie to have such a long drum roll. And so I think, it talks about how you can do some of your marketing a little different out there and stuff like that. As opposed to Fly Me to the Moon, which is the other new movie out in theaters this week, which was interesting because the article, the writer for Deadline was like, now before spending $100 million, Apple should know that history always teaches us something about the future. There was a movie like this before, like Fly Me to the Moon, and it didn't make much, and it didn't cost much at $35 million. But it sounds like Apple spent $100 million on Fly Me to the Moon. However, with this, though, the difference being too, Apple's going to probably use this as a project to have a lot of people come to Apple to watch that movie. So is that $100 million well spent? I think they spent way too much on that. It should still have been about $35 million. All right. So let's take a look at, so that's our box office numbers for this particular week. Let's take a look at upcoming movies. So for our upcoming movies for the coming week, nothing too exciting. I'll show you my theater here. So the upcoming movies for this week are Disciples in the Moonlight. A reluctant leader heads up a team of 7 Christian intent on smuggling Bibles to underground churches in a future America where the Bible is illegal and danger is around every corner. And then Twisters. That's right. The movie that no one was asking for. Again, there's a lot of these that seem to be coming out recently, right? There's a lot of movies that nobody wants to really go see or really been asking for. I mean, you get a lot of these movies that have been made. I'm trying to think what's the last movie I was just thinking of that's just been released. That's been such a long time, or it's coming out soon, that there's a movie that's been like, well, Furiosa. There's one, Furiosa. People weren't really asking for that. People are not asking a lot about Twisters as well too, and I'll get my face out of the way. So Twisters. I still remember Bill Paxton being in that. I thought Twisters was okay. I mean, it was a popcorn type movie. It wasn't really exciting. It wasn't really something that I was really longing to see. And so definitely going to try to go see Longlegs this week. Twisters, I don't think it's going to do great. I'm going to try to predict how much. I haven't seen Furiosa yet. I'm probably going to watch it when it comes out on streaming, I think, but I've heard mixed reviews about it. I think some people said it's been fine. Other people's, it depends on what your expectation of the movie is. I think it's a fine movie in terms of characters. It sounds like it was a solid movie, so definitely a B. If you look on a scale from A, B, C, D, and F, probably a solid B is what I've been sort of hearing from different people. People are just like, but why did we make the movie in the first place? It's definitely better than your average movie, but it isn't definitely an A movie. Twisters, again, I think it's going to be a C plus movie. Probably an opening weekend, $20 million. It is a prequel of the Mad Max Fury Road, and that's Pravin, one of the things that people were disappointed about was that no one asked for the sequel or the prequel, and then it didn't have Mad Max in it. And so people were like, well, why should we watch a movie about a character that people weren't really excited about? So that's probably why it didn't receive as much hype as it could have been. And again, with Twisters, the same thing. I don't think anybody's been desperately looking for Twisters out there. So I'm thinking maybe 20 million. Let's go $15-20 million on its opening. And if it gets more than that, I'll be really shocked. So, all right. Okay, let's see here. Let's see what I got next on the agenda today. All right, some screenwriting news. Okay. Oops. Screenwriting news. Okay. Let's see. Let's do this one. This one. All right. Okay. In terms of Avatar, do you mean the James Cameron property, or do you mean the Avatar: Last Airbender? I haven't heard either yet, but there's going to probably be a Avatar. At least the James Cameron product did pretty well, and so I'm assuming that there'll be some other movie about it. I'd be shocked if there wasn't. So in screenwriting news, Sean Levy's Star Wars movie hires Adam project writer Jonathan Troper. And so director Sean Lee, the guy who directed Deadpool and Wolverine, just hired the guy from the Adam Project, Jonathan Troper, as the person to pen his tale. So we'll actually see if this Star Wars movies gets made, though. There's been a lot of Star Wars movies that have come and gone that haven't even graced the silver screen yet. But because the next movie actually for Star Wars is Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian and the Grogu. Okay, Mandalorian and Grogu slated for the 22nd of May of 2026. It's surprised it is trying to get it on the 4th or something like that to make it more of a Star Wars tie-in. So it's going to be a little while, but just so you know, sort of the director's pedigree, the Sean Levy, he's also done multiple episodes for Stranger Things, Deadpool. So it sounds like he's a pretty good director, and he's potentially prepping to helm the next Avengers movie. So he sounds like he's the next hot director in town. Sounds like they have a screenwriter who's at least been able to write screenplays before and has a track record in doing that. And so hopefully the movie will be okay. We can hope. We can hope, right? So, yeah, I'm waiting for that. Which movie have you? I actually have not worked on a movie before. I have. My claim to fame is more the screenwriting software type. But I actually was a movie critic for paper for a little while, so I've done some of that. So that's why I always include the box office in the news, because I've done a lot of writing in terms of that. A friend of mine actually, I know a lot of people around the industry and stuff, especially up here where I live at in North America, not in Hollywood. I don't know a lot of Hollywood people, but a lot of people in my area, I have some connections with stuff like that. So, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yep, I'm excited to see that. I'm hopefully going to go see that before I go back to work. Let's see. The other article I wanted to share with you guys today, Star Wars in a good way, because I think so often we've been being so pessimistic about Star Wars and stuff. I wanted to so again, there's this screenwriting magazine called scriptmag.com. They have screenwriting articles, and I wanted to pull one from an earlier couple months talking about the Phantom Menace. And one of the things I think this reminds us of is how do we write a story when there's not one single protagonist? And I thought that was very interesting. So the Phantom Menace, we'll start in this particular paragraph here, The Phantom Menace splits these functions across Qui-Gon Jinn, Anakin Skywalker, and Queen Amidala. Although their goals aren't exactly the same, their individual goals aim the plot in the same direction. Their choices and action all affect equally. Now, the important thing that I think is important when you're writing a screenplay is look for other screenplays that are similar in structure to what you want to do. So, because Lucas used a movie called The Hidden Fortress, which uses a multi-protagonist structure as well. In this film, you have two peasants, General Maccabi and the princess, as your main point of view characters. Each has their own reasons to make it through the territory, and their twists and turns involve body doubles and enemy forces. But the points of view in the narratives are split distinctly between these characters. Each minor protagonist has their own motivations and secrets from others. Thank you. It's Praveen, it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good vacation right now. The hard part is just getting set to go back to work, and so I think that's the hard piece. But yeah, it's been good. I'm actually feeling set to work, and I've actually been doing more videos and stuff because I'm getting myself ready to go back to work at my day job. I just do this for fun. Like I said, this is just part of my fun. So when you're thinking of, like I said, if you're thinking of a multi-protagonist story where you have a bunch of people that are sort of moving the plot forward, take a look and read The Hidden Fortress, because that's going to show you how someone who has done it well has done it. So I invite you to take a look at any screenplay. So if you're looking at doing a particular style, I'm not saying you copy the screenplay. What I'm saying is take a look at them. How do they write it? So that's why I've read a lot of Tarantino. I actually do have a couple screenplays that I'll pull down. So I have something like this one here, Star Wars: The Wrath of Khan. Let me stop sharing for a second. So I have something like the Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. So you can actually go through and read each of these, and this is a good way to just get used to. There we go. So you can get used to reading stuff. How do you do action lines? How do you do different descriptions? And it reminds you that the screenplay is a story as well too. A lot of times, yes, it's a blueprint for how things are done, but you need to also make it entertaining, because otherwise people won't want to read it. Let's see. Do I have my other one? I think those are my two. Oh, I got. Oh, I know just what you under. Oh, one more too. Okay, perfect. Okay, so two more screenplays that I have. Aliens, the screenplay. So there you go. And then Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino. So like I said, it's important to read screenplays. And I think that's the big thing. That's the biggest lesson we can take from this particular thing here as well too. And so I would encourage you to particularly read this particular article. I will, get back to where I need to go. But I think it's important. So the author here talks about, as long as your characters can play heed to their personal missions while focusing on the overarching narrative of the screenplay, you're going to have a cohesive story. Regardless of whom becomes our main protagonist, we know that the film won't end until the particular question has been resolved. It works with all the Star Wars movies. Actually, when you look at the maneuvering of the Phantom Menace, every detour taken is still in service of answering that question. When the Jedi get involved in a conflict, the mysterious Sith Lord Dark Sidious orders the Trade Federation to launch an all-out invasion of Naboo. They capture Queen Amidala, who struggles to keep her planet free. The Jedi, led by Qui-Gon Jinn, rescue her and whisk her away to plead for help. In breaking the blockade, their ship is damaged, and they were forced to make a landing on Tatooine, where they meet the idealistic young Anakin Skywalker, who comments that the biggest problem in the universe is that nobody helps each other. So I'll link this particular article in the notes. But take a look at this, especially if you're thinking of writing a story that has multiple protagonists in there. It might not be the first story you want to write, but it's one I think is a good one to it's good to have these type of things. All right, so let's jump on to pulp culture. I'll get rid of, actually I'll hold that one down. I can get rid of this one, get rid of this one. And as we do each and every week, because that's the the videos that have been doing pretty well for me has been talking about the Acolyte. So let's talk about the Acolyte a little bit. Nothing really earth-shattering. I didn't really like the last episode. I thought the last episode. So the thing that they have to remember in terms of the last episode for Acolyte, so that's episode 7, I believe, if I'm correct. So what I didn't like about episode 7 is basically you had a basically episode 3 given to us again, and that wasn't very helpful. What they were trying to do with that is, if you've ever seen movies where they've had different perspectives on the same event happening over and over again, that's what they were trying to get at it. But in order to do that, you need to reveal more information. And I think it was the first 20 to 22 minutes of this particular episode. So basically most of the episode, because these episodes are also criminally short. They didn't reveal much information. There wasn't anything really new. And then you have characters acting totally differently than how you expect them to act, or how we've been taught they're supposed to act. And I think that's the problem with the Acolyte, is I think people could get behind it if there was some consistency about the characters, if the writing was just a little better. So we're going to take a look at an article written by Paul Tassis. Just to let you know, there's 2 people that write for Forbes, and one really likes the Acolyte, which is Paul, and the other one does not. So if you're wondering, hey, well, why does, sometimes we use a Forbes article, and so why does the Forbes article seem to have their own different spin on it? It's because there's 2 different people that are writing for Forbes, and so and they have very vastly different opinions about the Acolyte, because this guy actually likes it. And he's right in that it's one of the most controversial Disney Plus Star Wars projects in the entire era, right up there next to The Last Jedi. But the question is, will the Acolyte get a second season? I'm going to wager no. And he talks about that it's not because he thinks it's not going to get renewed either. It's not because it's being woke or being bashed by Star Wars YouTubers and audience. Rather, it's pretty simple: cost versus viewership. Now, estimates of the cost of the Acolyte put it at $180 million, which I still don't understand how they do that. There's got to be some creative accounting. Someone's got to be buying a new car out of this. And it's $180 million, and it costs 30, and there are only 8 30-minute episodes. That's just insane. Because if you look at something like NCIS, they're paying a fraction of the cost per episodes, and they're like 45 minutes to 50-minute episodes. It just is like, something's not right. And it says there's absolutely a wild amount of money for Star Wars things that is nowhere near the theaters, but rather the 6 Disney live action shows series instead. And while I think the show has a solid aesthetic, I do not. No, it does not look like a $180 million production. Someone was saying that so the company pays itself. At least that's one I heard on one podcast before, is that the company actually pays itself some of the money in order to produce the show. And so that's where some of the $180 million is going. So not all $180 million is actually going for the episode. Then there's the viewership, where if it was a breakout smash hit, it might be worth spending that for another season, but it's not there. Based on what we know, Disney does not give out official numbers, but Nielsen says its premiere was half the viewership of Ahsoka and 75% lower than the Mandalorian. Man, reportedly it's the second least watched show, also behind Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. I can't imagine a surge in popularity from there. Now, the interesting thing about this is this does not mean everything, though, because Andor is going to come back because it's been getting sky high reviews and massive praise, but it's actually the least watched show is Andor, which surprises me because I actually got Disney Plus to watch Andor. That's the whole reason I got Disney Plus, was because I wanted to see Andor, and I let it go. I'm going to let it go after I get done watching The Acolyte, because I'm like, I don't really want to watch anything else. So, and like I said, I think Andor is well written and stuff like that. So I agree with the Forbes article writer. I just do not think that there's going to be a second season for The Acolyte. And I don't know what you guys think, but that's where I'm sort of at with that. So, all right. I heard the House of the Dragon's been still going really good and strong. Let's do screenwriting tips. But yeah, so this is a new sort of section that we're doing this week. Because I did a live stream last Thursday where we looked at Script Studio and we looked at its character features. And I had a lot of questions about screenwriting software, and I've got questions about screenwriting in general. Let's see. Praveen asked me to make a particular video, and so I'm going to make a video for him. And if you have a particular video you'd like me to make, I'll add it into the mix, and I'll get it done as soon as I can. Yeah, I want to keep that particular article. But one of the questions that somebody had for me was, they wanted me to help them craft a scene where somebody is looking through binoculars. And so what I did was I went to one of the movies that I remember that had this. And so I went to scriptsavant.com, and I'm going to take a look at a scene about how to do binoculars. So in this particular scene, so we see this is scene 47, and it's exterior parking garage, Washington, D.C. So the Jackal is an older film. So a lot of the scripts that you find like on Scriptsavant and other free sites are older films and stuff like that. And so this is with Bruce Willis, Richard Gere. I actually got done watching this show not that long ago, just because it was like on a free streaming service like Tubi or Pluto TV. But it's not bad. It's not great. But I mean, it's a typical, 80s, 90s. I want to say it's a 90s movie. So I'll have to look. Maybe 90s, 2000s, early 2000s. But there's a scene. So you have the exterior parking garage, Washington, D.C. day. So carrying a black shoulder bag, the Jackal, which is Bruce Willis's character, walks to the railing of a rooftop parking deck, produces a small pair of binoculars, and looking out across the city. From the binoculars' point of view, we see. So then you see the Capitol Dome, Pennsylvania Avenue, the U.S. Mint, finally the White House. And so that's one way that you can craft a scene if you want to have somebody looking through binoculars or a scope or something along those lines. This is one way that you can craft. This is not the only way, but this is one way that I found that you could do that. That's in a script. And again, it's in the Jackal, Jackal. Again, it's got Richard Gere, Bruce Willis. That's why it's the correct. It's the correct screenplay. So so that's one way that you can have someone looking through binoculars, and that's how you include it in your screenplay. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to bring up to you today is, let's see here. Give me 1 second here. All right, so that's, I don't show you that yet. Okay. All right, one of the other questions I get asked a lot, and I've been trying to find out more information about, has been, how do you get a manager? What's that next step after you create that screenplay? So one of the things I would share first, and I'm going to create onto one of their blogs, because they, how do you find that manager? Now, the one thing I would caution you to do, so here's a couple things that I know from just experience right now. So you're done with your screenplay, you're done with your first draft. Let's say you're done with your first draft. You need to revise it. You need to revise it. You need to have a friend look at it. You need to have somebody you trust look at it, read through it, give you notes, and say, okay, does it make sense? And there's always a caveat with notes in that people will give you notes. and they may or may not, depending on who they are, they may or may not give you good notes and stuff like that. So I think it's important to go to somebody you trust to do notes. To be honest, I do notes from time to time for people. I do not charge for that. I'm just going to throw that out there. And so when I do notes for people, I let them know it's going to take me a little while because I'm not charging you for this. So I don't get it back to you within 3 days or something like that. Sometimes I do my best, depending on how busy I am doing stuff. And if I start getting a ton of people saying, "Hey, I want free coverage," then I might start charging. But like I said, I give you my opinion. Again, as a movie critic, as somebody who writes screenplays and stuff like that, I haven't sold anything. I haven't been produced. So there's always that. That's a grain of salt. But like I said, I can help you figure out what has worked for me and stuff like that. So you should have that done first before you even think about doing a manager. You should have at least a couple of different revisions to make sure everything hits together pretty well. But then let's say you're at a point where you want to find a manager. So here's a way, and this is big business, to be honest with you, because I just got on a email group as well too, talking about how to find representation. And there's people are going to sell you stuff all the time. That's why I'm not charging you anything because people always seem to want to make a quick buck out of, okay, we'll do this and then everything will be great. A lot of it's networking. The way you're going to get your screenplay made is by knowing people, talking to people, and a lot of that is just being active. If you don't ever talk to anybody, your stuff it's going to be a lot harder for you unless your writing is that good. I think the important thing is that interpersonal relationships. Can you talk to people? You get to know people, that type of stuff. And that's how you're going to get deals and find out about stuff. And right now the spec script industry is really small. So they used to buy hundreds, if not thousands of scripts, several years ago. Now they bought like 10. So there's not a real big market right now for spec scripts. And so a lot of the stuff you're going to do is they're going to find if they like how you write, they're going to say, okay, this will be great. And then we're going to put you on a project. So if you're going to be a writer, just know that your writing jobs right now are probably going to be going onto a show and writing for the show. So a lot of people don't want a lot of spec scripts unless you're going to make your own spec script yourself, using AI or using some other forms to get it out there. Okay. So getting back to their article about, how do you find a manager? How do you find an agent? So the answer you will always get is that the agents find you. Of course, that seems insane. How can an agent find you if you're getting started writing screenplays? The answer to this is always get your work out there and produce. This is even more insane. If I don't have an agent, then how do I get my work out there and produce? It's that chicken and the egg type of example. And that's where a manager comes in. Managers are like coaches. They're there to support you in your journey as a writer while giving you advice and guiding you through your career. An agent is more like a sponsor. They get you the one-off job. You make money, they make money. Manager, on the other hand, will help you find various assortment of jobs, maybe in a writer's room, maybe doing some ghostwriting, as well as producers or studios who look at your writing. As a manager helps to get your stuff out there, then the agents come calling. So you say, well, then how do I find a manager? So there's a lot of middlemen in all this, or middlemen, middle women, in terms of getting your stuff out there. So I think that's important to know. It's just getting your work out there. The writing piece is probably the easiest piece. And you know how hard that is. That's not hard. That's not easy at all. But that's probably the easiest piece. And then trying to get somebody to read it or look at it or something like that is the harder part. So there are managers that are active on social media talking about their jobs and giving advice. Just search for the managers on the internet. Will bring a plethora of results. You will find them at film festivals and events. If you want to spend some money, you can use various directories like IMDb Pro. And there you will find email addresses to managers. Finding the name and contact a manager is the easy part. The harder part is getting them to read your email. A manager has two main tasks in their week. Their first task is reading the hundreds of emails they get from writers wanting a manager. Those emails will include a screenplay, so that also then needs to be read. Their second task is sending hundreds of emails on behalf of their clients so they can ensure that their clients will get work. Now, a query letter is another name for your email to a manager. Your query letter should briefly introduce who you are and your background. Is there anything unique? Are you a military veteran? Did you used to work for a writing circus? Or did you used to work for a traveling circus? Are you a mother of 6? Something that stands out and represents you. Then you will want to briefly describe your screenplay. A logline synopsis is best for that. When sending a query letter to managers, it's okay to put your screenplay in the email if you want to. And I would put that in as a PDF. Don't put it in as an FTX file. Put it in as a PDF. You want to save them as much time as possible to give them everything they need in the email. You do not need to include any reference visuals or pitch packets. The screenplay is enough. So remember that they get a lot of email, which means you need to be patient. They're not going to get back to you within the next day, the next week. They're going to get back to you in a while, like more than a week, like several weeks, probably a month. The other thing that I did a short video on before is something that we screenwriters hear all the time. No. And so the hard part is you have to get used to the no's until you hear the yes. And so it's being persistent. And so you just have to wait. And it's easy to get upset when you get a rejection. Do not get upset and take it out on the manager. You will instantly kill your chances of any kind of career with them. Take a step back and get back to work writing another screenplay or rewriting your current screenplay. If you're the kind, get back to work and then reach out with an updated draft that you put effort into, and they'll respect your efforts and your professionalism. If you want to take your career to the first level, find a manager. They will be with you for the whole journey. And they'll care about you as much as the work you create. So again, this is from SoCreate. And so you can look at this particular blog article from that. I thought that was interesting because I haven't heard a lot about managers before. And I was actually thinking this was more about agents, but this sort of makes sense in sort of that next level because there's that chicken and the egg example when you're trying to get into the film business. You want to, you have to have something good to be, you need to produce before the agents get to you. But in order to be produced, you have to have an agent. So the managers are helping you find that clientele to get you those writing assignments and stuff like that. So, so that's an article from, like I said, SoCreate. And we'll talk about them here in just a couple of moments because they have some exciting stuff for us to look at in terms of software updates. The other piece of screenwriting tips that we need to look at today comes from us. Comes from Coverfly. So we just talked about coverage in some sense, or I did not that long ago. So people reading your screenplay. So Coverfly is one way you can do that. They have a free program that you can do to get other screenwriters to do coverage for you for free. So the system that you have to do is you have to do coverage for somebody else, and then you get credits for doing that coverage, and you can use those credits to basically get someone else to. You can't buy the credits. You need to do work. You need to do coverage for somebody else in order for someone else to do coverage for you. I've done close. I think I said to about 60 different screenplays. I have a 4-point something out of a 5-point thing on Coverfly. Let's see if I can pull up make sure I'm not lying to you. I don't like to. Let's see if I can get that in there real quick and see. All right, so I can go to my dashboard, and so let's see. I have in terms of request at a project, I want to do. Let's see if I can get to extras. Submit. We'll look at competition for a second. Let's take a look at Coverfly because I told you I'd take a look at Coverfly, show you what my dashboard looks like. Give peer notes. So let's see. I have a 4.335 rating on Coverfly. I have a bunch of different tokens, and you can sort of see these different. They don't have that many on right now, huh? I wonder why they don't have so many on. But they have some here, so you can get on here and do that. Oh, there we go. So you can see all the different entries I've done. I've done quite a few of them. Gotten a lot better. It's been a little while since I've done some, so. But you can take a look here, and you can give and get peer notes. So I have like 72 credits. So each one is about 2 to 3 credits. So, but yeah, you can give those a try. Let's take a look at competitions, because that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about. So we'll talk about the competitions that are out. We Screenplay, a short script lab. 6 writers will be selected for a multi-day virtual shorts lab, plus free feedback for all entries. Final deadline is today, unfortunately, if you're watching the video today. And it's $70. A lot of these all cost money, because that's... So the hard part about competitions and stuff is you pay, they make money out of these things. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. You're not just, they're paying the judges, they're paying for the products, they're paying for the advertisement. So yeah. So it's not free. It's not expensive. But this is one way to begin to get some of your work out there, depending on how it goes. You have to really look at the ones, different. Oops. Let me go back to window. All right. So, and I'll take you back to Coverfly too to show you my stuff. So you know I'm not lying to you about those numbers. So okay. So, but here are some of the different screenplays that you can look, or some of the screenplay competitions. So we subscribe Short Script Lab, the Slick Films Fund. So it's a £10,000 production funding, mentor support for Oscar winners, and much more. Rise Back Rise, a nonprofit accelerator for people of color creators to make commercial entertainment that reflects our multicultural society to help propel narrative change. That one is actually free, but the final deadline is actually today when you're hearing that. The one I wanted to sort of talk about was the Story Labs $50,000 short film project. Because it's it administers a grant of $50,000 to support the development of a short film. They're accepting shorts right now, and you have a week and 12 hours to go to still submit something. So in the first stage of the process, applicants will be asked only to submit a properly formatted narrative short film page script of 15 pages or less for consideration. Knowing such things are deeply subjective and hard to find, we're looking for a great story, well told, containing notes of hope and uplift. We are agnostic on genre. Initial script reviews will be conducted by a team at the Page International Screenwriting Awards. Top applicants will be asked to submit additional information about the project, including a statement of intent, any attachments, or development materials. No prior production work or experience is not required, but is welcome to be selected. As well as all our programs, we look for people demonstrating the capacity to do the work and to do work collaboratively, regardless of film or TV experience. So take a look at that. The other thing, like I said, I'm going to go back and show you my dashboard of, let's see, there we go, Coverfly. See if I can get to give peer notes. So yeah, so there's my rating, 4.33. So I've done quite a few of them. So just so you know, so like I said, that's like I said, I'm just surprised there's not that many scripts out, but that ebbs and flows and stuff like that. So this is a good place. Coverfly, it's free. Again, this is a place you can get coverage for yourself. So give that a look-see and see if that's something that you would like to do. All right. Right. So that's some screenwriting tips and stuff like that. Let's talk about screenwriting software updates. So we are going to look at the one I'm going to do. Let's see. All right, there we go. We're going to take a look at SoCreate right now. So for software updates, so the nice thing about SoCreate, if you haven't tried SoCreate, take a look at one of my other videos. I have a code in there so you can get some discounts on using SoCreate. It's a great sort of platform that's a little different than what you see from Final Draft and stuff like that. I talked to Justin. I've done an interview with Justin before, who's the CEO of that. It's a little different. To add action, you simply click action and you have like an action step here. The interesting thing here is you can add this particular theme. So this is a theme that I created from Midjourney, and I've put it on there. It's also I've created each of the characters that you see here. I've also created using Midjourney as well too. Let's take a look at the character here. If I can go take a look at the character. So there you go. You can sort of see I've added in the image for that. So that's a big boost. Very visual type of storytelling. So if you like to do a lot of visual storytelling, SoCreate is one of the great programs to work at. It does have a subscription model, but it really works really well. The other thing too that's interesting about it too is it's got a collaboration feature or a share function. So you can request feedback from somebody and send them the link to this. So one of the things I've seen so often on Reddit is people wanting feedback on their scripts. And so SoCreate's going to make it really easy to do that. Right now, you have to know the people's address or email address and stuff like that. But going forward, this week, they're going to open it up so you can just have a address for anybody to click on, and they can come in and work on your screenplay and stuff like that. The nice thing about it is you can, with this particular function, you can say, okay, I want them to use this bitch or this. I want them to look at only this small bit of the screenplay. So if you have a 100-page screenplay and you only want to have them look at 10 pages, you can restrict your feedback to just those 10 pages, or to 1 page, or to the whole document, depending on what you want them to do. And so I think that's a real neat feature. I think it's a real game changer, because so often we hear people talking about, hey, I want to know more about, I want somebody to read my document. SoCreate has sort of have it baked into the program now. So if you haven't taken a look yet, take a look at SoCreate. It does have a free version which you can use. Excuse me. But like I said, you can also use my code in, just go to one of my other videos and you can see my code for using SoCreate, and you get some money off as well too. But this is a neat way. If you're, like I said, more of a visual storyteller, I would definitely give this a look-see. Hi, Team Western Productions. How you doing? I hope you are doing well. We're just finishing up with talking about some screenwriting software updates here. So that was the big one for this week, was SoCreate. And like I said, I think next week they're going to talk a little bit more about they're going to be able to do what they call personas. So you can have people who have like pen names, or if you have a writing name that you use, you'll be able to share stuff with that. So you can have sort of anonymity if you want to do that as well too. So Team Western Productions, anything exciting going on for you this week? I hope your writing has been going well. So, all right. I think we'll go to channel updates and so I think, so this week we have a video. Praveen wanted a video about going from idea to outline. And so we're going to do a video about that, a short video about that. I'm trying to think what else we're going to do. I know what you mean. Weekends can always be very busy. Well, I'm glad you've been relaxing today, and I know that's what I'm doing. I'm having my flavored water here. I just keep it in a Coke bottle because I always just throw it in the refrigerator and cool it down, and then I can add my flavoring, whatever I want. But it's been hot around here, so yeah, hopefully everybody can stay cool. So I think that did about everything that I have for the week. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Like I said, I think that was the one video I was going to work on. I haven't decided if I'm going to be able to do a live stream on Thursday or not again. I'm hoping to do that. Maybe talking a little bit about more about Script Studio, or I might do one on Final Draft as well too, just to sort of show you how we're doing stuff. I'm still working on my Final Draft Made Easy program, so that'll be hopefully coming out pretty soon. So you can. That's basically, like I said, the only thing I'm gonna hopefully sell is how to do Final Draft really quickly and to easily, and how to use all the functionality of it to its best of its ability. So I'll be hopefully having that coming out soon. let's see, I've been watching Studio Binder on YouTube. I've got it only one script at once. What does that mean? So for Studio Binder, if you're using the free version of Studio Binder, you can only use one script at a time. You can't have multiple projects. I think that's what you're talking about with Studio Binder. Is it just it only allows you to do one project at a time. So, which is how they rope you into buying the program. So, but if you're interested in Studio Binder, like I said, look at Studio Avidity. It's cheaper, and I think it works just as well. Studio Binder, it's got more resources in terms of articles and stuff like that. It's a little flashier, that type of stuff. But give Studio Avidity a look-see. I think that if you're really want to use it, try that one first because it's a lot cheaper, and I think it does pretty much everything that Studio Binder does. So let's see, any other questions from anybody? Yeah, like I said, so I got the one video up. Might do a live stream this week. I'll let you know. I'll put it up on the community page if we do one more live stream. It looks like on the community page, if you haven't gone, yep. If you haven't gone to vote on my community page, tell me what you'd like to do for lives. Like I said, I'm still doing Real Talk. But it looks like a lot of people are wanting me to do like just a walkthrough on how to write a script, how to go through like what we did for Script Studio, say, hey, this is how you use each part of Script Studio. So you can say, hey, maybe this is something I want to try. Maybe it's not. The other thing we could do, I'm trying to figure out what the last category is, but there was a bunch of different ones. So, or I could just do a question and answer session, just show up one day and say, hey, what do you want to talk about? We'll just answer as many questions as possible and stuff. So, but, well, you all have a great week. Is there anything that you need? Send me an email, coachingforthescreen@gmail.com. Let me know. I do my best to answer people pretty quickly. Yeah, just take your time. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, if there's anything else that you need, just, like I said, send me an email. Take a look at the community page, vote on that, and we'll get another video out. If there's any video ideas you want, you can always email me as well too, and I can see what I could do about that. Well, until the next live stream, live well and write well. You guys take care. Have a great day.